Hello, and welcome to the 35th episode of the MotorDoc podcast. As promised, we are going to cover something a little bit different. We are going to cover this week, today we're going to cover an oscilloscope. During the next several days, we're going to cover infrared. And then after we take some field data on partial discharge testing of a new stator, we will take a look at acoustic or visual acoustic tools. So we have at MotorDoc quite a few oscilloscopes and other types of testing devices, and of course ESA. But for some field work, I needed something that was going to be, we'll say cheap or inexpensive. So I did a little bit of research, and I ran into one called came in this case, a Hantek, this one, 2D72. There's a couple of nice things about it. One is that it charges off of what amounts to a cell phone system. It plugs into a USB-C, basically this, and then it goes into a little charger like this, that does 5 volts and 2 amps, so basically you could even charge it off of your PC. It also includes all the connections that you require for what would be expected for standard oscilloscope testing, which is generally voltage inputs, by the way. But today we're going to talk about current. So I have this. There's some interesting features on it. There's 2 different styles, or actually there's 4 different styles. There's a 50 megahertz without a signal generator that runs under $100, and then all the way up to this one, which is $175, which has all of the features. They all look identical except for the model number that's on the front, and that some of the features don't work if you get the lower version. So some of the things about this is this $175 off of Amazon system includes an oscilloscope, a multimeter, and down on the bottom, which handles up to 600 volts, voltage, ohms, capacitance, diode, the common one, and then of course your usual amperage, inline amperage reading. So all of that is there, banana plug. That runs separately than the oscilloscope, completely separately. I can't take that data and do anything with it in the oscilloscope. The scope side, that's the interesting part. Now this one's a 75 megahertz, and I've tested as high as 100 megahertz, and it has been successful. So it does a pretty good job at getting some pretty tight waveforms there. And then of course the time varies significantly. The menu does a few things and so on. One of the downfalls I discovered was when we were in the field, I was excited about this because it says it can export or save to CSV. Well, the instrument cannot. The software that you see here, that can. You can save data on the instrument, but you cannot transfer it anywhere. So I can recall things. So if I turn it on and give it a second to start up, I can come to menu, and I get 5 menu choices, all well described. And under save, which is F3 on here, I click it. In position 3, I happen to save that data right there, if you can see it. Here, let's see if I can position it right. There's cursors and all kinds of other stuff on there. This particular waveform is related to a neutral and ground. Its increments vertically 1,000. See, it's 1,000 microsecond, but are 500 millivolts. So if I take that and I take a look, and I've got 1, 2. That's about So that's going to be about 50, because that was done with 10 millivolt per amp. So that's going to be about 50 amps peak, and that's about what we got there. So when I take a look at this, that's great. I can recall the data. The auto works fantastic. We're going to show that live on the screen. So let's go ahead and we're going to connect it up to software. I have the system hooked up, or I'm about to hook it up using one of these to the laptop. So bear with me a second. Not a fun shot here, but there it is. So I now have the loop set up, and the next thing I'm going to do is take this. We'll set it for 100 millivolt per amp, so up to 20 amps. I mean, the laptop's not carrying that much. And I will connect it into channel 1 on here. So I'm connected up there. It's scanning already. And we will take this and we will clip it on that loop. So now what I can do is a couple of things. So what I want to do first is I need to come over here because I'm only using channel 1. I'm going to turn off channel 2. That is now off. Return to 1. And because I can sit there and fiddle around with verticals and everything else, I'm just going to click on auto. And let's see what the waveform looks like on the charger on a laptop. Now, it's also going to show up on the oscilloscope. There we go. It's on the oscilloscope. It's going to take a few seconds and start showing up here on the screen. Maybe a few seconds more. There we go. So I'm watching it dance pretty quick here. The scan rate's really good. Scan rate's much longer over here. So there we go. Now, what if I want to see a little bit more? Well, I can change the divisions. Let's see what twice as many look like. So we'll change that to 10 milliseconds. There we go. Now, this should be at about 60 hertz. I have not tried taking more than a half a second. So let's see what happens when I hit a full second. It might take a little while. That way we get a full 60 hertz showing. I know half a second scans pretty quick. It might not do it fast enough for us. It's popping back to that. So let's go ahead and take a half a second. There we go. And it's scanning again for half a second. Like I said, 1 second and higher, that's going to take a little longer. And here we go. So this will catch up in a second. Now, what's kind of cool about it, I've got two things I'm thinking of here. One is I'm able to look at it and remember and you also need to remember, it is taking roughly right around 1,200, or I'm sorry, was it 1,199 or something like that? 1,199 samples per second, or per half second. So across here, it's taking that. So it comes out to be about 2,400 samples per second if I go to a full second. Or I mean, if I look at the whole thing. So, which isn't bad. I can do some stuff with it, but I've tried this already. It doesn't quite give me exactly what I'm looking for, but let's go ahead and take a peek at what we can see. So channel 1, we'll save it here. Now there's all the other stuff you can fool around with here, but let's go ahead. We'll say OK. OScope data, we're going to save it as a CSV so we can upload it to ChatGPT. We will call this laptop 2, and we'll save it. Okay. Now, I can also take some of the lower ones, like if I come back here to 20. So I get this wave shape here, and we're going to save this one as 1. So we're going to go ahead and save channel 1. And this will be a CSV. This one will be a laptop. Okay, so now we have that. And it's saved. So I have this waveform going on in the background. It's real time. We have now saved a set of that data. So it's grabbed that data, switched it over to CSV. So let's, instead of going through and spending a lot of time running Python code. I'm going to just do it in ChatGPT with simple commands. So let's go to ChatGPT and open up data. This is going to be desktop, OScope data. And let's first take a look. Well, let's take a look at the more data. So in here, a couple of things you want to notice. There's a comma, so there's two columns in here that have nothing in it. This first column is our current, or actually in voltage. This one here up top, this is metadata related to what we're looking, related to the data. So when I do import it, it's going to throw some errors, but it'll correct itself, although it's gotten later in the day. I ran this earlier, but I have a bad microphone, so it did not do well. Okay, we'll get that out of the way for now, and we're going to say import data, 500 milliseconds, data, 500 milliseconds of data, so that it takes and splits it up. View data and show graphic. Big words. You know, it's funny as it continues on, it tends to, so it's going to throw an error. There we go. And it goes, oops, ran into something. So it turns out the first one, of course, it says, oh, yeah, we got to start from the fifth line. So there we go. So value 1, and now it's creating the other column. Okay, so now it's going to go through and it's going to take and create our graphic. Okay, so this is what the data looks like. There we go. Just pretty much the same as what's on there. So you can see 1199 sample. It says 1200, but it's 1199. And because there's a total of 1204, and the first 5 are bad. Okay, so run an FFT spectra showing the amplitude versus frequency. Primary frequency is 60 hertz, which should be the highest point. Adjust is required. Okay, so I think last time I ran it, tried to show it as 600 hertz for some reason. So let's see how it comes out. Okay, it's got to switch it over to a NumPy array. I run this all the time. If it tries to do it as pandas, it throws an an alignment alert. Okay, so there's our highest peak. Okay, the primary frequency at 60 hertz is supposed to be, so now we want to do this as a spectral analysis, right? So we want to do spectral analysis showing line frequency on the x-axis. Just is 60 hertz. So let's see what it comes up with now. And you can see there, that's showing 0.6. So if I were to come up here, because these are now interactive, if I come up there, whoops, it'll show it as 60 hertz right there, see? So there we go. It's still showing 0.6. The 0.6 should be 60 hertz. Yeah. Sampling interval should be 1/60th of a second. Okay, great. No, that's still wrong. The value, the highest value, the spectra should be 60 hertz. Please fix sample rate on a data of 0.5 seconds is 1199. 1 second would be 2398 samples. Try again. Always tell to try again. You can be mean with it if you want to too, but why? It's just a computer. Just a complex calculator that's taking over the world. So here we go. Let's see if it got it this time. Right back to 0.6. Okay. So it's really does not want to show me 60 hertz. This means that ChatGPT is having problems again. So let's go ahead and we will run it as a spectra with the highest peak at 0 dB. 0, not O, dB. See if that corrects it. Current and everything seems to be about right. I haven't compensated for the millivolts yet. But let's see what it comes out with. I mean, there's a fair amount of noise in there too. Oops. Drop down. And it's going to stick with this 0.6 for some reason. Didn't get that the last time. That means there's something going on. This is showing up right, this sideband here, which is at 0.2, so it's about 0.4 off. So basically 40 hertz off, almost exactly. Oh, at 11 dB down versus what I got earlier. So yeah, ChatGPT is acting up on us, but neither here nor there. But in any case, I can see I have a peak here. I'm going to do some testing on this in a future video related to testing one of our motors in the lab. In any case, so let's go ahead and we're going to stop here on this and we will move on to another tech here shortly. Now let's cover a couple of systems that I like to use for looking at electrical systems. And this one I got brand new for roughly just under $600. So it's their maxed out pocket camera. It's very, very similar to the Flir camera of the same type, similar size. The specs are a little bit different. I believe the Flir version is about the same cost as well. So just happened to get this one because it was readily available. We just took some data on this, so we'll look at this in a minute. You can see I've got the software set up. This connects directly to your PC. Again, another USB-C. So let's go ahead. We will connect this up. Turn it on. And the nice thing about a lot of these tools is the ability to charge while you're taking data. And again, just like the oscilloscope, the little charger here is again 5-volt output, 2 amps. So basically exactly the same. So I don't have to carry around a bunch of chargers. The one specifically to the oscilloscope I should probably carry because it's got that special thing. So in any case, here we go. There's D is showing up now. So on the screen, I have an area for basically center and then the different spots. There's a bunch of things I can do with it. I've got it set up now so it will see the outline so I can have it read words. For instance, it will read the names of the books on the bookshelf, as long as I don't get my fingers in front of that. It auto ranges, it finds the coldest, hottest, and center spot. I can also tap on an area of the screen and it's going to focus in on that area. So there it is. I can also set emissivity and a few other things. When I go into the menu, a lot of that's automated and so on. So when we get into the other device, the Acoustic Analyzer, then we'll see, there's some interesting things there. Everybody's basically doing the same thing. I don't know, I have an idea who copied who, but this one definitely took care of things in a pinch. So I'm going to set this down And let's go ahead and let's get some data. It should still be there, I hope. Yeah, okay, so that is their sample. That's their sample too. Here's the data I took. Okay, so this is of a panel. So let's go ahead and bring that in. And in here, you get all of your information. Okay. It gives a range and everything else. Not sure what I can do up there, but what the emissivity level is, I guess, yeah, there you go. You can change it. So human skin, printed sticker, whatever. Let's see, I have one for electrical. We'll just leave it there at 0.97. But we can select other ones. All of this other information here, of course. Now, when I want to come in, I can determine different spots. And here we go. It's going to start showing the points. And what can I do with it? I can move it around. And then let's see, we're going to come down here as well, because that's what we were studying. Okay, there we go. We have multiple spots there. Let's grab this one here. This is actually the panel where we had the arc flash the last time I was up at this site, and one of them had flashed in the middle here. So these are the points that I've selected. They're labeled there. I suppose there's other things I could do. Yeah, let's leave it where it is. So we're going to go ahead and save it. Okay. And then let's go ahead and see what we can do as far as a report. Try that again. There we go. Need to select OK. Let's go ahead. Now we can do a report. So it gives us some options for reports. Let's go ahead and select a simple one. Okay. And I believe I can change a few things so that my label goes on front, but still have room here. Yep, looks like I can enter in that information. Okay, if I do a batch, this cover changes. And there's my real picture, there's the infrared, and then it select the points here. Here we go, points. So here are my points there. Anything I want to add in here, and then I can export it. There were other things I could enter in here as well. So all this information can be entered in. I can pre-do it here, and I can also do some updates up here. Okay, so that's it, and that's how challenging it is. Pretty straightforward. There's all kinds of things you get to do where you can modify and so on and so on and so on. Okay, so let's go ahead. Yeah, we're going to get rid of that for now. And let's take a look. So what, by the way, also ranges minus 20 degrees centigrade to 350 degrees centigrade for the object. It's going to do certain other things. The accuracy are plus or minus 2 degrees centigrade. And then if the temperature of the device is at 25 degrees centigrade. And that's basically it. Very, very versatile. Took me a few minutes to get data. And then, as you saw, it's pretty straightforward for that. So turn this off. Okay, and then comes the other one. Now, the other one is the Flir. Now, the Flir has a range of minus 4 to 248 degrees Fahrenheit. So a very, very tight range. So the other one goes up to 650 degrees Fahrenheit, but from about minus 4 as well. So there's some things with it. Also has a 4-hour battery. This does not have a 4-hour battery, and as a matter of fact, you need to charge it separately from the phone. If you have a case on your phone, you want to put it on an extender. Okay, it will extend out, but usually not far enough. And then let me go ahead and grab the phone. If I put it on a phone, I then have my thermal camera. It runs the battery quickly here, and it does not particularly last long here. But let's go ahead and we will However, the resolution and everything's pretty good. It also has kind of a limit. Let's see if it does what it did the other day. May auto start the software, or may not. Flir tools. Okay. And as you can see, very, very similar to the other one. Okay. So that being said, here we go. Oh, there's my, let's see if it can read the label. My can of liquid death, which is water, by the way. And then, of course, my little, can it read it? My little RD. It gets a little bit of it. Gets the D. In any case, so yeah, so that's basically, what we're dealing with there. So I can grab images with that. Doesn't take too long to start up. Does a great job. I've been able to use one for a lot of years. The challenge, of course, is analyzing the data sometimes. So I'm going to attempt the software. I'm going to pause this while I get the software open and select the image, because I'll have to go through a lot of files. But we will go on from there. So we're back to the next part. This one is the Flir, and it is the Flir 100, so our little guy again. I've uploaded basically the exact same system, slightly different view, but right one after another. The timestamps are about the same. So as you can see, there's a few other things that we can be able to address. And by the way, all the software that came with the instruments was no cost. So this is, again, so this is saved as a JPEG. So it was only about 1.5 meg. And there we go. There's my spot 1. There's a spot 2 here. Spots are a little tighter than the other one. There we go. And the other one was showing these at about, slightly higher. Oh, this is in degree C. The other one was in degree F. So let's see. I'm trying to remember how to change it. So let's go ahead and we'll grab another spot here. Pop meter. Okay, so here we go. So now we have this all selected and everything else. We have our 3 points. Temperature wants to show as degree C. Places for annotations, all the information associated with it, including the timestamps. And one of the other benefits of doing it the way we did it was the ability to show where we were when we took the data. And let's see how close it is. It is much dead on. So we were able to include the location where we took the data. So, that would be the Dunkin' Donuts right there. Yep. In any case, so once we get this all done, then we can save it. And I think, does this allow us to adjust the scale? Yeah. Okay, so once we get everything done, then we can add it, and then we can, I think we can just, are we able to do a report? Blank report. Okay. Now this is updated since the last time I used it, so it's going to pause. So I'm going to pause us while I'm waiting. Okay, what I did is I selected a template. This is a little different than the last version. Selected a template, which I just selected this one, and then selected the image and dragged it over, and it ran. It took all the data. It's doing it again, so see if it adds a page or decides that I've, been bad. There we go. Okay, we'll go ahead and cancel it. And now as I scroll through, you can see that it has done something here. Location, any annotations I put in, temperatures for the points that I selected and identified the points up here. Our picture here, that's a Flir 1 Pro Generation 3. basic information on it. And there we go. So I can now save this, and that's it. So those are the three things that I set up. Now, for me, I ended up getting this one here. Could have used either one, the Flir or this one, but wanted to test out the manufacturer for the device that we're going to go through next week. But basically, this one here has a longer battery life. It's separate, so I don't have to worry about this running out or something like that, or my phone, or somebody calling while I'm trying to do anything on it. The convenience of this is nice. The convenience of the Flir 100 is, in addition to doing this report I just did here, it will actually do that, and then I can email it directly from the phone. So there's some definite stuff you have to decide. Me, I'm going to have both. This is smaller, simple to keep in a kit if I'm out doing data collection with whatever technology, and gives me the ability to take a quick snapshot. The resolution of both cameras is good enough to accomplish whatever I need, and that's kind of it. Both will do video as well, and so we're there. So the oscilloscope, very good for what I'm going to be using it for, shaft testing, and then looking at waveforms in specific applications, in particular with current. And then these other devices, I'll use, this one's the new one, as required. And then the one we cover next week, that is wholly new. And it'd be interesting to see what type of applications I have for it, and if that investment was good. Now that one ran right around 9,000 plus tax. So versus some of the other ones that are out there that run much higher cost. So we'll see how well it works. I did hunt some birds and trees yesterday and had it flick around, and it did a really good job of identifying which bird was singing at what time and where they were located, including one that flew from one tree to another. So that'll be fun. And with that, have a great week and a great 4th of July. The next one I'm going to do after we get the partial discharge data, assuming it works, I will describe whether it did or did not, because this one has both combined, both leak detection and the other, and then we'll do a live leak detection thing on the large screen in the classroom. With that, have a great week and a happy 4th. Happy Canada Day, which was yesterday for my